How you guys doing? So I have another Bible review for you today. The CSB Christian Standard Bible, Study Bible. This is brought to us by Holman Bibles. Holman. So we're going to go through this. I want to say a big thank you to Holman Bibles and the CSB for sending me this to review for you guys. If you follow my channel at all, you know that I love to provide as many resources as I can, good quality resources that are trustworthy, because it's good to have resources. It's good to be able to study our text better and to know what's inside a Bible. I also happen to really like Bibles, and I like all the different aspects. Different Bibles have different things, like apologetic study Bible or the archaeology study Bible. They all have information that can be beneficial to our Christian walk. So we're going to get into this. Before we do this, I want to say this. This Bible came with this in it, and I think this is awesome. So I want to mention it to you and make sure you guys know about it, because Holman sent me this Bible. Inside the box was this Voice of the Martyrs. If you're not familiar with Voice of the Martyrs, you are now. Voice of the Martyrs, essentially the quick version is they have an app, they have a website that talks about all the people in our world that are currently being persecuted and killed for their Christian faith. If you download their app, they will send you one to pray for, send you people and families to pray for. But this is cool because in North Korea, it's illegal to own a Bible. So what they have done is sent out a little paper here that you can essentially practice a few times, and then they will take this sticker after you've written it and stick it inside a Bible to send to somebody on an illegal Bible in North Korea, that essentially these people can be killed for owning these Bibles. And they tell you a little bit about that. So I thought it's cool, and I thought that I would mention that. I bet you can probably get some of these from Voice of the Martyrs, VOMBibles.com, if you want to do something like that. So let's get into this Bible. The CSB Study Bible. A study Bible, as you know, is a Bible that includes extras. Sometimes those extras are articles. Oftentimes, not oftentimes, every time, because it's a study Bible, it'll include like half the page, and we'll see in there in a minute, oftentimes half the page worth of commentary to help you understand the text better. So the CSB is the Christian Standard Bible. We're not going to get super into the different translations this time, but I'm working my way through the New Testament in the CSB. Some of you guys know I usually read the ESV. So the quick version of what is the difference between all these. So you have essentially literal translations, such as the New American Standard Bible, the New King James Bible, or the English Standard Version. That means they're as close to word for word as you can be. There's always going to be translation issues when you're going from one language to another, but they're as close to a word for word equivalent as possible. Then you have like dynamic equivalents, something like the NIV or the New Living Translation. These are thought for thought. They are essentially the theologians and scholars that are translating the dynamic equivalents for us are doing a lot of the work. And they can be easier to read, but not quite as accurate when it comes to specific words. The CSB is what is now being called optimal equivalence. And I bet you they're going to tell us about that inside the box. Optimal equivalence is a little bit of a balance between both of them. They've done everything they can to keep it as literal as possible, but there are times when that literalness is clunky, for a better word. It's kind of, the sentence structure is funny because we're reading it in English, and they have worked hard to correct those. So this Bible, this is mahogany, the mahogany leather touch Bible. Comes in a very nice box. Tells you a little bit about it on the back. I always like when they give you the actual text size, which means nothing if you're looking at it on the camera. And through Holman, this Bible is about $69.99. There's the ISBN. Oops, there's the ISBN. And it tells you a little bit about what you're going to get. All the study notes, Word studies are important. Photographs, timelines, maps, and we're going to go through some of these things to show you what you're going to actually get in this Bible. So let's take it out, set this box to the side. This Bible is on the larger side, but it's a study Bible, so you're going to get larger with study Bibles. This is a nice, just mahogany leather. It is just a paste down liner. So if you're really super hard on your Bibles, you might want to reinforce some of these corners just a little bit. But it is Smith sewn. The fact that the Bible is Smith sewn, you can get it. You could get it recovered if you wanted to, or rebound in the future if you started having cover problems. But I have a couple of these Bibles that aren't 100% real leather, like goatskin, and I don't have a problem with them. Now, that being said, I don't stick them in my backpack, and throw them in the back seat or anything like that. So, take that for what you will. Let's do some quick measurements here for you. We're looking at 7 inches. By about 9.5, 9.25. And it's thick. So you're looking at 2 inches thick. So it's a nice big Bible. This comes, I'll show you when we get to the inside, in quite a few different versions: hardcover, leather, genuine leather, everything. So I'll show you the ISBNs for all those. CSB Study Bible, Christian Standard by Holman. The back is just plain. All right, let's get into it. We already took a look at the inside liner. It's just pasted down. So if you have trouble with ripping liners out, you might want to reinforce it with some book glue or just some regular glue. Let me see, did I miss? Here we go, presentation page. I've said this before, always fill these out. Unless it's a Bible you're going to give away. Well, if it's a Bible you're going to give away, fill it out with their information that it's from you. It's super handy. Some of you guys have seen I have a Bible that I just did a review of that is over 100 years old, and I would have liked to see more writing in it. It's cool because it's so old, but I definitely would have liked to see more writing. All right, CSB Study Bible, copyright 2017. I'd like to hold this up for you guys so you can pause and take a look at it if you want. And here's a list of all the different ways you can get it. So hardcover, indexed, gray, cloth overboard, purple, mahogany, premium leather, genuine leather, and deluxe leather touch. Okay, so lots of different ways you can get it. In the beginning, we usually have a similar format. Most of the Bibles that I've reviewed, you have a table of contents. I like the table of contents. I use these often, especially in these study Bibles, because the table of contents is, in my opinion, less about the books of the Bible. A lot of us know those by heart, and more about what else is inside the Bible: maps, Hebrew and Greek word studies. Okay, those things are huge. And then just the books of the Bible. They all have a little. It's like a 1 or 2 page introduction, and this will give you an idea of just an introduction to the Christian Standard Bible. Okay, like what's in the Bible, kind of what it's all about. And Trevin Wax is the general editor. That's another thing I talk about all the time. Know the scholars that went into the Bible that you're reading. Who is part of the translating team? You don't have to have them memorized, but take a look at them, look them up. Do you trust them? With most of the common translations like the NASB, the CSB, the NIV, the NLT, the ESV, they're all built from very reputable scholars. But it's always nice to look. Trevin Wax is a pretty legit guy. It tells you what you're getting. Cross-references, study notes, okay, bolded text, maps, introductions. And it'll go through, if you're not familiar with kind of how a study Bible works, or how any Bible works for that matter, because a lot of these things are similar. Cross-references, what a cross-reference is, where they are, how it works, okay? Alternate translations and such. There always should be footnotes in your Bible, always. Whether it's a study Bible or not, you should always have footnotes because there's always something they're gonna want to say. And then it shows you a little bit of, goes through what you're gonna find on the pages. Gives you an idea of just your page introductions and timelines. So here you go. Here are your contributors. General editors, Trevin Wax and Edwin Bloom. I'm familiar with Trevin Wax. I looked up a few of these other guys, and they're all reputable gentlemen. But these are all the study notes, okay? So here's your meat and potatoes. The words of Scripture should all be more or less the same. Yes, there's going to be a word that's changed here or there, or interpreted slightly different. But in a study Bible, you're going to have study notes. And that's why you get a study Bible. So you're going to want to know who is writing these notes. Who are the scholars? What are their credentials that are contributing to the knowledge that you are hoping to gain by using this text? So you can go through it and look. And like Gary Habermas, I mean, come on. So there are essays. There are essays throughout this Bible on different things, such as Gary Habermas. He's kind of known as, he's pretty well known as the resurrection, very knowledgeable scholar about the resurrection. And he happens to write an article that's included in this Bible. Awesome. Craig Evans, okay? These are, if you want to, study Bibles will have all these different essays inside. If you want to just go find them, you can use the table of contents, but you also want to know who wrote them. Then maps and illustrations and charts. Again, we're still kind of in the table of contents, really. Hebrew word studies. This could come in handy. There's Hebrew word studies and Greek word studies. So find the word that you want to know about. It'll give you some passages and places where you can find it. All right, so let's take you to the commonly used abbreviations. And here we go. So, introduction to the actual Christian Standard Bible, not to the Bible part, which is what we just read, but to the translation. And this is going to give you a quick 2 to 3 page idea of how they translated it and the translation philosophy. So like I was saying, it's going to go over formal equivalence, it's going to go over dynamic equivalence, and then we get to what this Bible is, and it's going to tell you about optimal equivalence and what their philosophy in translating the text was. Some of those things include gender, language. If you followed Bibles over the years, the NIV had some changes because of like gender language. So it's something you're going to want to know. And then it's history. All right, let's get into the Bible. It'll tell you how to read the study Bible. It usually gives you some tips and tricks on how to do all that. And a few articles. So we have introductions to sections, introductions to the Pentateuch, the 5, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. And then each book of the Bible has an introduction. And it'll give you a page or two about the book. When you're starting to study a book or when you're looking through a book, when you want to know more, it's important to know some important information. Who wrote it? Circumstances. Why was this written? Who was the author? Why was it written? Who were they writing? Who were they writing to? Why were they writing those people? Was there an overlying reason to all these books, to the individual letters in the books? What was the overarching message? And you get a little outline, okay? And it's kind of the structure. What type of book is it? Is it poetry? Is it is it a letter? Is it history? What is it? Those are all important. You wouldn't read the sports section in your newspaper the same way that you're going to read the obituaries, or the same way that you're going to read the comics, or the same way you're going to read an editorial, right? So you need to know what type of book it is. All right, meat and potatoes. This paper is actually pretty thick, especially for a study Bible. I like it. There's not a whole lot of ghosting, to be honest with you. You're always going to get some in these spaces that are void, but let me see. It's always hard to see So this is line matched. What that means is that the words on this side match the words on this side. And it's going to be hard to see through the page, but it makes it a little easier to read instead of having a bunch of words kind of bleed through in between the lines and all over the place. You can't usually see it on camera. So here's your general layout of a study Bible. This one is, I actually really appreciate that they've used colors here. It makes it, for me, it makes it very easy to switch back and forth and to know where I'm looking for what. Here's some of these little Hebrew word studies, okay, that they have mixed in. We're in Hebrew. Why? Because we're in the Old Testament. It'll switch to Greek in the New Testament. Okay, so different colors. It actually is very vibrant. The words are, the text is all in black. I believe it's a red letter edition. Let me check it out real quick. Yeah, red letter. Although I'm colorblind, I can see it. Oh, there we go. So there's not a ton of room to write in the margins. There is some, but not a ton. You're looking at like 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, 1/4 inch, which is enough for like I said, if you've followed me for any amount of time, I have a little, for this exact reason, I have a symbol system that I use in the Bibles that I use on a regular basis. I use the same symbols in every Bible, so I can flip open and see in the margin just a little teeny symbol that will let me know of something, that this portion has to do with the Trinity or the Abrahamic covenant or whatever it is. I use symbols because you can't always write a full-on sentence, but I want that information. So you're going to get your word studies. These are huge. I'm pretty excited to look through all these word studies and gain some knowledge in that area. Usually when you're doing a word study, even just to start off with, you're going to have to do some searching and seeking, maybe on the internet, maybe in your commentaries, but this has some basic information right here for you. You know me, I like when they all start on a different page. I know that might be slightly odd, but because of the fact that this Bible has introductions, they're all going to start on the new page. Might be slightly funny, but I'm funny. All right, let's flip to the back. This is, I believe, I want to say a 9-point font, but it's. I could be wrong on that, but it looks like about a 9-point font to me. I forget off the top of my head, but it's very easily readable. Now I have pretty decent eyes, but I have some Bibles that the print is super, super small, and it could be difficult to read if you have vision issues. This, in my opinion, without being a large print Bible, is very pleasant to read, very easy. The layout, I like the layout. I actually like having the references in the middle here. Some Bibles do it on the side, some do it here. I kind of like having them here because it makes it easier for me to go back and forth and see instead of moving, across the page that way. All right, let's flip open to the back. Introduction to Peter. All right. So we have some of the articles here in the back. I'm super excited to read this article. This was submitted by Sean McDowell, who you all know and love, I'm sure. If you don't, get to know and love him. Very smart guy. Him and his father, Josh, have written numerous books and helped numerous people learn quite a lot in the areas of apologetics. Not only apologetics, but just in Christian living altogether. So before we skip ahead to that, it's going to give us, and these are kind of scattered throughout here. I didn't mark any of them because I knew there was one in the back to show you, but there's these articles that we looked at in the beginning over here in the table of contents. If you want to specifically find one, look in the table of contents. Otherwise, they tend to be scattered somewhere in the Bible where they're going to be used, or where you might be thinking about this particular topic. So tables of weights and measures. This can be actually pretty handy because there's a whole lot of strange weights and measures in the Bible, right? And a pretty decent concordance. Sometimes these concordances, aren't fantastic. but that's for space reasons. It's not exhaustive, but this concordance really is pretty thick. We go from page 2054 to 2128. So you're looking at almost 100 pages of concordance here to refer to. This Bible has something that I haven't seen in a whole lot of Bibles, and I like this. I think this is fantastic because you usually have to go look something up on the computer and write it down or print it out. This Bible has Bible reading plans in the back. So if you like Bible reading plans, this has a number of them. It has a 3-year or a 1-year, a 2-year, and I think I saw a 3-year, yeah. So a 3-year plan. So if you want to read the Bible in 3 years, there's a daily bread, the Word of God in 1 year, and it just tells you what to read. January 1st, Genesis, you start in January, Genesis 1, Genesis 2, kind of, this is what you're responsible to read in January. I can tell you, reading the Bible this way, if you're just reading it straight, without one of those like daily Bibles that breaks it up for you, in a year, to read the whole Bible in a year doesn't take very long per day. You're looking at 20 to 30 minutes max. I mean, absolute max. Because if you read 10 to 12 chapters, which depending on how fast you're reading and which book you're in, if you read 10 to 12 chapters a day, you can read the Bible through in 3 to 4 months, which isn't a whole lot of time. So you can spend 20 minutes a day, and this will help break that down for you. And then it has like a memory plan. So different verses that are important verses that you could spend some time memorizing, one for each week. It's not hard to memorize a verse in a week. And then just some credits in the back. We have maps. The maps are on much thicker paper, but they're very bright. I like the maps because I wish that I could have a couple of really big printed out maps that I trusted, so I didn't have to look back and forth. But I find myself referencing maps way more than I ever thought I would when I was a kid. I really appreciate having maps, and when it's talking about a certain area, being able to look at what that information is. All right, and that's about it. We get just a white page in the back. And so this is pretty big. So this has been a review of the Christian Standard, the CSB Study Bible. I know this has been a longer review, but I wanted to give you guys, it comes with 2 ribbons. I only pulled one of them out, but it does come with 2. So I love giving you guys resources and showing you what's inside these Bibles. I am just an everyday ordinary guy that loves Jesus. I'm not a pastor that uses this. Sometimes pastors look at Bibles for different reasons because they're preaching out of them and they need notes to write. You're hearing from a guy that's just a regular guy. I think this is a fantastic Bible to have. Lots of good study information in here. The Christian Standard Bible, this could definitely be your daily driver if you're looking for a daily driver study Bible. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I want to thank Holman and the Christian Standard Bible for sending me out this to review for you guys, so you know if you're looking for a Bible what you're getting. Have a great day.